PulseX causes Unity to run away. But if it just starts running away against PulseX, it's designed to bring itself back down, right? It's a self-correcting system. So for all of you that are in here, I really want people to understand this before you're just hopping in, because I see a lot of people buying and staking. And if that's part of your strategy, fantastic. And I also want to make sure that people are understanding that you're buying at these prices. You got to know what you're doing, because the system's designed to bring itself back down in ratio to PulseX. So yeah, it's just really important. And guys and gals and whoever's listening, if you want to come up and ask questions about this, please. Would love to have any and all up to bring you up to speed. And yeah, it's an open mic here. I want to hear from you guys. But there's a lot to learn in the system. And so, yeah, please ask your questions. I don't know, buddy, if you have anything else you want to add to on that front.
Well, yeah, for me, like, I'm not telling anyone to follow my strategies or copy my strategies or anything like that. But the news that we had this week is, putting aside the FOMC thing, we also had the EU looking to either use Solana or Ethereum to make the EU digital dollar on that platform. So either which way, like, if magically the stars align and they pick Ethereum, that's like a huge feather in the hat for Ethereum. And I could honestly easily see Ethereum running a little bit longer than possible. Like how we may think the 4-year cycle might turn out, which I don't think is going to follow the 4-year cycle where we plan to just crash back down in November. So this comes to my TORUS strategy. So I was thinking, okay, well, fine. Day 88, I might do a shorter creation date amount, maybe for like 30 days or like maybe 20 days or something like that. But hearing these news now, it's making me think, okay, well, if all of these things are coming out and the market is just generally bullish on crypto with like moving currencies digitalized, it may make more sense for me to like try to max out on my stake and go for like another 88 days, which would push me to I don't know. Alexa, what's oh, never mind. I'm guessing like January something we may get, like the next 88 days stacked on top of it. So like the first 88 days, correct me if I'm wrong, graphics, I think it's going to be October, I don't know, like 2nd or something like that, whatever the number is. And the following 88 days may go all the way into January, I think. So I'm making my strategies where I'm trying to fit that timeline in to extend it to get as much time and power from compounding again.
Yeah, I think you're bang. I think it's early January is where that second cycle is going to go, because I think it's around October 8th or 10th or something like that. Right around, I think it's around there, 7th, 8th, 10th, something like that. So that'll bring us to the first week of January, I believe, for that's that day 176, that second round of 88-day compounding, which, man, I would love for us to get a third cycle. But yeah, by planning, I think that's becoming more and more of a reasonable expectation of that we're going to have about 2 cycles at least before we really start having to make some different decisions potentially.
Yep.
So yeah, well, that's great, man. Let me go over to Amir for a sec here and check in with him. Good morning, man. Welcome.
Mic check, mic check.
You are good.
Yay or nay? All right, let's go. Good to see you both up here on stage. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on supply stuff, with between TORUS and Unity. Because right now, like, since we're only on day 6 and the on Unity and the days in TORUS have already been locked in, so all the shares have been accounted for. There's a lot of shares in Unity that haven't been accounted for yet since the days have not occurred yet. So right now, the crossover point where Unity cumulative supply exceeds what TORUS has done is around the late 20s. But that day is going to slowly push out as Unity, produces its blocks, air quotes, because more shares will come online and reduce the cumulative supply as the days goes on. So right now that crossover point is true. It's in the late 20s where Unity will exceed the supply growth that TORUS has already done. Because right now, day 28, 29, TORUS future supply was 4,000, 5,000 from day 28 and day 29. And right now in Unity, it's 5,500 on day 28. So that's kind of where it crosses over. But I expect that to push out as more shares come online. Um,
It's actually interesting. I want to go. I want to check out the cumulative and compare them. What you're reminding me of too. I can't remember. What do you guys remember? What day in TORUS it was where we cracked under the 4 million mark for the supply coming out on day 89? Because for those of you who aren't aware, TORUS and Unity both have a pretty special supply distribution model, which means that normally when you have a token distribution model, you have like or token a scheduled release where people can be in the system, lock up, and then they can unlock at a certain point, whether it's like 30 days or a year later or whatever. You typically have a very large day that either has a fixed number of tokens coming out on that day or only gets larger, right? Unity and TORUS actually work the opposite, complete opposite. So in TORUS at the moment, on day one, when people are coming into the system, there was expected to be 8.5 million tokens coming out on day 89 because people can only stake or create for up to 88 days. Now, again, 8.5 million was expected. We're already down to 1.7 million tokens on day 89 for TORUS, which means there's been like an 80 some odd % reduction, which is absolutely bonkers. And Unity has those same mechanics. So on day one, we were expecting about 8.5 million tokens to come out. We're 7 days in. And for Unity, we're already down to basically 3.79. So I don't know if you guys remember how fast the TORUS day 89 came down. But Unity is coming down very quick. I think it took a little longer to reach that or under 4 million mark, if I remember correctly, actually. Emir, go ahead. I'm going to see if I can find, I had a photo that I took at some point. So go ahead. I'm going to see if I can find it.
I don't have specifics, like exact numbers or days, but just seeing how the Unity folks are participating. To Buddy's point, prior to day 89, it does seem like there's more shorter stakes. People are going, or shorter creations, like people are going short. And because of that, I think the cumulative day 89 inflation might be sticky. But what is also interesting is there's more participation after day 89, relatively speaking, compared to TORUS. So it's different. And the rate of change might slow down a bit, but in aggregate, I think it could be more impactful. I just think the participation in PulseChain and Unity has been really strong, and it's definitely going to impact how the supply comes out. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah, well, what's unique to Unity is that because people are doing more shorter term creations or stakes, this means that the amount of dollars that the system has relative to the amount of supply coming out is actually increased, meaning the system can actually support itself easier. If people are coming in and they're doing shorter term creations or stakes, it literally makes it easier for the system to handle because they don't earn as much over that same period, but they're putting in the same amount to get there, right? So this is huge. And this is going to, yeah, exactly. It's going to completely change the level of strength that Unity has to support itself. I did find an image. So I took a screenshot on July 14th. So this would have been on day 5 of TORUS's protocol. It was actually, and thank you for pointing out what you did, because that was a really good observation. On day 5, TORUS had already come down to 3.52 million tokens for day 89. We're on day 6 now, and we're only at 3.9, which, to your point, really showcases that PulseChain is going shorter term by a significant margin versus TORUS, which the majority of people were going longer term. So Man, it's really cool. Let me see if I can find some more photos here of some more screenshots. Because I definitely took more. Let's see here. No, it's not that
I'm
one.
really interested in seeing when people are fed up giving their PulseX to the protocol and start giving Pulse. I'm waiting for that switch to happen. I think people will want to start holding on to their PulseX instead of depositing it.
Yeah, that's gonna be honestly that's gonna be a big moment because the more Pulse that comes in, the more PulseX gets bought and burned, which has a bigger impact on PulseX itself. So personally, I would love to only see Pulse come in. That would honestly be best case scenario. If we only saw Pulse coming in because people were holding their PulseX, that's fantastic. That's all Pulse going into PulseX buying and burning or just buying up, which is fantastic.
I'll say it first. I didn't use a single PulseX when doing my Unity stuff.
Hey man, that's not a bad way to go at all. It's not a bad way to play. So, and even right now, like the buy and burn for Unity still has a significant amount of pulse. Let's see here. The amount of pulse in the system. So let's go. I'll talk about how much is totally in the buy and burn, and the buy and build, and the fractal. Just loading it up right now. So we're looking at $979,000 in the contracts at the moment, and PulseX and Pulse are down like 5% on the day. So we've got 4.5 billion Pulse, so $230,000 in Pulse has already come in, and we have $750,000 in PulseX. But you're right. At some point, that's going to flip. And man, it's just, I'm waiting for the day because we know people are watching this. We know people are heavily keeping an eye. Like, there's so many people that I'm in contact with that are watching Unity, that are watching TORUS, that are not talking about it, but they are participating. And it's the only reason it's frustrating for me is because people not sharing it is people not letting others know and get an opportunity to participate in a system like this. Because it really does give you a huge advantage. It's not game over if you don't get in early. Don't for a second think that. It's the furthest thing. Simultaneously, it just is such a good opportunity to get in early that it really frustrates me that people are not, don't have the opportunity. If people learn about it and they don't get in, hey, fair game, man. But if people just aren't hearing about it because people are not talking about it and purposefully like keeping it to themselves, I understand it's strategic, but it is also frustrating as a founder because I want people to at least have the chance to get in because I know how impactful these early days are. So what I'll say here quickly is if you guys are in here, please share the space, tag your favorite PulseChain influencer, and help spread the word as much as you can. If there's streams, if there are, your favorite influencer is on X streaming or on YouTube streaming, go shout out Unity. Ask them to speak about Unity or TORUS or whichever protocol you love, or both even. And let's help spread the word because, these protocols deserve to see the time of day, to see people actually understanding them and to see people, at least being able to know about them initially. So please take a moment. If you haven't already, go and share the space and let's help spread the word here. So, dude, Amir, those look savage. Those are huge. That's the Unity side?
Yeah.
Whew.
Yep.
7 days in, you got a 1955% ROI. That's ridiculous.
Ladder up, baby. Ladder up.
Jeez. My God. So if you guys haven't seen it, go and check out the comments for this this space. Damn, dude.
You can
Also,
also pin stuff to the billboard if you like have co-hosts too. They could pin stuff up or yada yada. So that could be a feature you might want to. Oh, Buddy did it.
yeah, well, see, here's the thing. I don't understand how you guys can do it, and there's no option for me to pin. I'm in here. I'm
I'm
looking at
crap at
all my
spaces too.
options.
Don't worry about it.
Dude, I'm such a freaking boomer. I feel like, man, it's like I just have no idea what's happening in space. It's been in YouTube for so long. Oh my God.
So
So
what device are you on right now?
I'm on a laptop.
Shit. I don't know. Like the way how I
Maybe
did
that's
it
why.
basically is just drop like the link that I did for a second into the chat, or like for example, the space that you have right now where it says 1.33 billion PulseX burnt. I made a comment in there, and then since I made a comment in there, I can go into that comment and click the share button, and it'll share to the space, the 1.33 billion PulseX burnt, and that's how you get it to pin on top.
Interesting. Yeah, because I don't even have that option in the maybe it's a computer thing. Maybe I have to be on the phone to do it properly. I don't know. X doesn't seem to like using the computer as much as for mobile.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, and honestly, I prefer using Android, but I don't know. It sucks.
Yeah, is what it is. Oh well. But what I wanted to say, because these ROIs are huge, dude. For all of you that are in Unity, go to the Dapp, go to your creations or stakes, and on the right hand side of the where your creation table or staking table is, you're gonna see a share button. Go click that, take the screenshot, and share it on X, and tag as many people as you think you want to hear about it. Share it, tag unity.win. Help spread the word. That would mean a lot. One of the things that have made other protocols go viral was these type of screenshots where people could share their ROIs. And so that would be huge. If people can start sharing those, that'd be incredible. Yeah, that'd be huge, guys. So please do that. And also, what I'll do is I see a lot of people in here. Would love to have you guys come up. I'm going to invite a few people up here again. But Buddy or Amir, I don't know if you guys want to have, or if you guys have anything else you're looking at or watching, or anything else you want to bring up, talk about with TORUS or Unity. But I'll leave it to you guys if you have anything. And if not, we'll wait for someone else to come up here. Because more questions the better, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a question. I've been thinking about it for the past couple of days. So just focusing on TitanX and Unity and TORUS, they're 100% trust. Well, they're for the most part trustless, correct? Minus the buy and burn that could be adjusted. They're trustless, correct?
Yeah, other than like the centralized pieces that are like admin to the buy-in burn itself, then yeah, they're trustless. They operate on their own.
So no matter what happens to Ethereum in the long term in PulseX, they will continuously do what they're doing. The reason why I'm asking is this, like if ETH does decide to do what I'm saying it's going to do, in the next couple of years, maybe for the next bull run, the stuff that we're doing right now, the foundation that we're building, investing in right now, will kind of be a big deal, because if ETH is probably going to be one of the next financial, structures out there, having a platform like the TitanX ecosystem, Unity, TORUS, where people could come in and earn yield, which is better than, I'm guessing, like 5% or whatever the number is that ETH will give by staking. It may be a really, really good play for the long term, because this is totally trustless. Well, for the most part, trustless. People could definitely profit from these platforms for the next bull run.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like this is how it's designed, right? And so I mean, obviously design and then coming to fruition and seeing it actually play out is one thing, but if Ethereum is going to be as big as, I would agree with you. I think we're on the same page here as how big I think Ethereum can be, as how big we think Ethereum could be. I think many of us in this room are on that same page at this point. There's only going to be so many places where you're going to be able to earn, exactly you said, trustless, reliable, consistent yield that's not 3-4%. These systems are designed, like what I've been saying from the beginning. These systems are designed to allow the people that are not whales to get in early, to get the lion's share of supply. The people own the protocol, and then the institutions and the whales get in late for the much smaller ROIs, but it's meaningful to them, right? And when they're participating, they're supporting the protocol, supporting everyone else. And that's the design of both Unity and TORUS. So, I mean, that's the vision, right? And I think it's completely possible that, especially just because of the nature of this protocol, where, I mean, what other DeFi tool is there out there where you can legitimately leverage high prices or leverage low prices to increase your earning capacity in the system? There isn't one. until now. It's Torus and Unity. This is what makes them so special, right? You're like, no other protocol allows you to arbitrage within one system, like to create arbitrage within one singular system to get ahead of the game, right? And that's Unity is like a single system with a full arbitrageable market where there's two different markets within the system to create, you know, a leverage play, essentially, a way to leverage that arbitrage. And it's just going to be I think it's going to be so powerful. And especially like, the Titan X side of things is going to be really interesting because right now, there is a smaller group of people that really understand Titan X, that really understand how the system works over time, what actually is happening under the hood. And, when people put aside what they may or may not think about, the founder, you start to see what can become of this thing in the months and years ahead. And naturally, Torus specifically for Ethereum and Titan X itself becomes a very interesting foundation for something like an institutional place to earn, consistent yield. And because Titan X in the ecosystem, becomes more difficult and in turn potentially more valuable, with ETH rising in its price, that gives more value to Torus and feeds into its ability to create more scarcity and demand through Titan X, which creates more, pressure into Torus, which creates it as more of a hub for institutions. And I know I'm kind of monologuing or rambling here, but I really want people to hear and understand and see this vision here that's in place for the future. So that, like, because Torus and Unity are not just like a single cycle token. They're perpetual. They're designed to be something that will be a blue chip. Like, it's designed to be a core pillar on Ethereum for Torus. It's designed to be a core pillar of PulseChain. They're not designed to be meme coins. They're not designed to be anything short of that. And I know it's a grand vision, but that's legitimately how I designed it and why I designed these things to be the way that they are perpetually. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, and thanks for listening to my monologue. I tend to do that a lot, but yeah, it's the truth, really is.
Yeah, and it's a big deal because what whales typically don't do, they don't degen into random shit. If they could earn like 10%, 20%, whatever percentage is, they will park their money there and just have it grow instead of just trying to like snipe the next degen 1 million X play. And if there's like a sustainable trustless platform, like what you have here with Torus Unity and Dragon X, it's something that will attract a lot of people to just leave their money and just grow passively.
Yeah, seriously. Amir, what are you thinking?
People seem to forget the daily supply only. Daily inflation drops by 0.08% every day. Every 88-day cycle is 92% of the opportunity overall is still there. So people forget this is going to be a 20-year thing. I know everyone is focused on the end of the bull run, but after the bear market, what happens, bro? Anybody? Can anybody tell me what happens after a bear market?
No, sir. Can you please tell me? It's my first time.
I would expect a bull market follows a bear market. So learn how to make your money in both situations, please.
Please. Yeah. Well, this like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. This is one of the systems that is designed to be powerful in its earning capacity and the way that it supports itself on the way down. Most protocols are built for the way up, right? This protocol is built for the way down. It's more powerful on the way down. And that's really what makes this thing, or both of these protocols, both Torus and Unity, so unique, right? And all the while, in a bear market, these are placing pressure and deflation on the tokens they're built on while forcing demand into them to continue for people to play or to participate, which, you know, in at least a theoretical application, the floor value of where the bottom should be, for those for these tokens that they're placed on should be higher. You know, and this is going to get higher and higher over the years as well. This is what happens when you have a system with a floor price and it's burning and putting demand in. There's constant pressure. So, I mean, here's a thing I'll throw out there. What happens if one institution, one bank, one exchange, one entity decides that it is going to utilize Torus or Unity? What happens when one entity says we're in? Just want to pose that to you guys and see where your mind goes, where your thought process goes.
Oh, go ahead, buddy.
No, I was going to say it's going to be insane, you know, because they really technically don't need to do anything because, like, you know, we was driving the point before, it's trustless. So they just need to park their infrastructure on top of something like Unity and just, you know, scale from there.
Yeah, 100%. Amir, what were you going to say too? I want to hear your thoughts before I jump in.
Yeah, I think to people who are worried about the ratio dropping, things like that, oh no, creation might not be as lucrative as it once was. I'll do like a Bitcoin metaphor, right? Like everyone used to be able to mine that shit, right? Now what does everybody do? They buy it off a centralized exchange because it doesn't make sense to try to mine it anymore. Creation works in the same way. You needed a function to get supply out to the people without creating disproportionate downside. Staking is meant to be stable. Creation is meant to, you know, be the deterministic supply that comes out in the beginning. So yes, there will come a point where creation doesn't make sense, and it's okay. I promise.
Yep, because the system doesn't care. You're bringing up a really important point here that I want people to understand, is that the system pays out in Torus or Unity to shares, based on shares. It doesn't care. It's agnostic as to where those shares came from. Meaning, even if the system is sitting perpetually under that ratio where creation is a higher ROI, you're still able to earn Unity and Torus and gain a yield, right? You're still going to be able to do that no matter what the system is paying out. The ROI is technically different because you're earning in token terms, but you can still, like, if you're still earning 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% every 88 days, right? You're still getting up to 40% a year in tokens you're getting, right? And if that price is fluctuating up and down, right? Let's say the price is way down and staking is still paying out an ROI, 10% every 88 days, right? Even if the price were to go up 10%, we're still a ways away from the creation ROI. But if you go up like 10% or 50%, right? Now that 10% in a single cycle has gone up to 15%, right? Because you're having to multiply your 10% that you've gained in tokens by 1.5 because you've gone up in 50% in value of all that you've earned, right? So, and that doesn't even include the gains that you've made from just holding the tokens, right? Because now your ROI is 50% bigger, but you're also have earned a 50% increase in your tokens that you were already holding going up in value. So you can see that staking alone is incredibly powerful. And so we don't even need creation, because creation's, like the word says, you're creating more tokens, which means that the supply, you know, there's a little bit more supply. But if the system sits in staking mode, I'll call it staking mode, where it's under that ratio, then the only thing that the system is doing is emitting tokens from the pool, which means it's way easier for the system to handle its supply. It burns it faster. The buy and burn can support itself better. The liquidity has less problems dealing with you know, selling, because when the system is in its creation, the higher ROI for creation, you know, that's when essentially the incentive structure is in favor of selling, meaning the liquidity and the system needs to be at its strongest to support it, right? It's more likely to come down. But when the staking is more incentivized, for staking to be incentivized, you have buying incentivized. You have buying and locking up not being incentivized. You have selling disincentivized, right? So you've flipped the script to allow the system to be relieved of a lot of the incentives that were there before, which caused the price to come down. Simultaneously, you now have the buy and burn and the buy and build are in relief of the sell pressure and everything else that I had to deal with, which now makes it even more potent, which makes it less likely that the system will stay at low prices, for prolonged periods. So, man, and I'm really hoping people will come to understand, just how agnostic this system is to where the price is, where the prices are. It's going to be something that's going to take some time. And the secondary piece, have you guys really wrapped your heads around just how significant, specifically you guys, but if anyone else wants to come up, please, I want to hear from you guys on this. And have you guys really taken any time to really wrap your heads around just how much staking brings in on a token perspective over time as the supply expands? I'm very curious to hear from you guys where you've gone and what you've learned on that side so far, because to me, it's one of the most important aspects to understand about the longevity of these systems.
Yeah, so from my point of view, I don't know if it's like my special flavor of, undiagnosed autism that I have. When you were just saying this there, in my mind, I visually saw an S curve with regards to the price, with staking as well as creation. And my mind just put together the piece where the staking part, it seems to be like how to put it, if the price goes down, the staking part acts as a counterbalance, or maybe as a float, because when people are less incentivized to create, they'll put their money into staking, but once they put their money into staking, it locks up the tokens, it releases out, like a faucet to a degree, but that in itself forces the price to go back up like a float. And that's where the S curve, visualization just came into my mind. And when I just saw that, it seems as if when we get to a certain point where, in the future of the project, months, years down the line, the S curve for the staking part is going to be much shorter, because the system is designed to push it back up with regards to staking, unless I'm wrong. That's what I just really saw.
Yeah, you've got it. That's it. It's designed to push itself back up out of staking.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to add, because you're visualizing this and you're seeing this, the other thing I want you to visualize here too is that with that S curve, that is also, there's another curve in here too, right? Because this floor is also going up against TitanX and PulseX, and significantly, right? In 20 years, that floor goes up 347x against TitanX. Go ahead.
I was gonna buy those pills that vampire guy who wants to live forever. I'm trying to buy it to live forever.
Man.
Catch this. I forgot his name, Brandon something or Brett something. You know what I'm talking about, right? The guy who's always like
Brian Johnson.
Yes, him. Yes.
Oh right, yeah, the longevity guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could see this thing operate forever too. Honestly, it's going to be insane because it just keeps going. It just keeps getting more and more extreme and out of hand. And I mean, we never actually quite reach 125 million tokens, and the difficulty never stops. So, we could see like 5,000x increase in what TORUS and Unity have their floor price set to, in like 50, 60, 70, 100 years. It's kind of bonkers to really think about that, which honestly, here's the crazy thing too, right? As if none of this was crazy that we just talked about, but here's the extra crazy thing is that as the supply expands, right, in order to continue to stake and utilize the system, more and more both Titanx and Ethereum for the Ethereum side, and PulseX for the PulseChain side is required to just participate in an 88-day period, which means that the buy-in burns and the buy-in builds are most likely to absorb the majority of supply from the chain by nature due to how these systems work. If there is even a relatively medium amount of participation perpetually, these systems will suck in all of the supply. It's just mathematically, it's not possible for it not to happen unless something happens where people just stop and nobody cares anymore. But that's going to be pretty hard considering all the mechanics, the incentive structures, what they're built on, what the chains themselves are going to do, how that affects the valuation of the future. But when you sit down, and this is what I'm trying to hit on, when you do the math to understand what the number of PulseX and TitanX required over time for the growing number of Unity and TORUS to be staked, it gets ridiculous. And then when you understand that at some point people might just stop putting in PulseX, they might only put in Pulse, or they might only put in ETH. It literally gets to a point where if people choose to only put in Pulse or ETH, the amount of ETH and Pulse required to even just let people participate in general is so astronomical as we get 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the future that TORUS and Unity are basically going to be a dominant force and probably one of the largest holders in their contracts of the gas token or the gas coin, so to speak. And you can mathematically do the math. You can mathematically do the math, guys. You can literally map this out. I don't always say smart things, but when I do, I say them live in recorded X Spaces.
Dude, this Taurus and Unity are programmatically going to become stores of value over time. I hope everyone kind of grasps that, right? Like it's an inflationary time frame at the moment, but that changes over time.
But
Yep.
but question, we're starting off right now. We're like day 6 and whatever it is in Taurus. What makes a blue chip crypto a blue chip crypto? Is it the amount of market cap, the amount of holders? Because if we're aiming to be a blue chip, because we're going to be a store of value, like we believe this could potentially be. What makes a blue chip a blue chip? Is it people who know politics, like those XRP guys, or the market cap, or like the community? Because if we want to take this to the next level, what are the certain things we should do to get us there?
Man, that's a freaking good question. So what I want to hear your input on this as well. I would say from what I've learned so far, if we look at what is the word blue chip, what does that imply? It implies reliability. Reliability for what? Well, for some kind of use case, a use case for store of value, for store of yield, for for something. It's you're going to this for something specifically. And I would say that there's probably a large number of people that are far more qualified to ever comment on this. But let's look at what really gave BTC that blue chip feel. I think liquidity is a major part to it. There is depth in market, right? People know that they can get in and out. It's not a quote unquote Ponzi where you put $1 in, you have $1 million in value, but it's a house of cards. And I think also there's a future potential as well. I think there's a combination of current setup, depth and liquidity, reliability, assuredness that it's not going to fail, and in concert with a projected future based on where things are going on a utility front, on an adoption front, on a legislative front. And I would say that's why Ethereum is now becoming this big narrative and this a bigger player in the ecosystem is because you have legislation lining up for stable coins, you have legislation lining up for real world assets, and for Ethereum to be a hub to host, a newer financial system that's on the blockchain that Bitcoin can't be, right? Bitcoin's the most basic fucking blockchain on the planet, basically, but it's been bulletproof from the institutional standpoint, which is, obviously there's pretty large argument against that, but here we are. So Ethereum's now kind of bringing that next level to that blue chip state, so to speak. I think it's interesting too. Blue chip in alts is an interesting one. I would ask you guys for, the same question that Buddy-san you just put out there. And also I would ask too, what makes a blue chip altcoin as well? I mean, because that's an interesting one, because it's still an altcoin, right? It's an alt, but it's a blue chip alt.
The first thing that comes to my mind, coming from like the IT side, the network and site infrastructure side, I would say reliability, store of value. And like you mentioned before, cryptographics, liquidity, because people whales need to swim in and out easily without, wrecking the project. I think that's it. And community, and community brings outreach, and outreach brings more people in. But yeah, I think it's reliability, uptime, trustlessness, I think will be like a major factor in the future, where institutions could just build on top of it. Yeah, I just think it's those 4 or 5 things. What about you, Emir? What do you think?
Yeah, liquidity, depth, order execution, speculative stickiness. And speculative stickiness can come from an array of things. Like, it's more of an umbrella, because what facilitates that, and it's everything everyone else has been saying. So that sense of stability, the sense of it's been there, it's not going away, not anytime soon, certainty. 2% market depth, and yeah, um, things of that nature.
Yeah, I really like the time as well that you brought up, because do either of you guys know, like, how long do institutions, whether they're banks, holding companies, what treasuries, anything, how long is there? I don't know this. How long is the timeline before an institution will actually consider something to be a potential investment vehicle? That one I don't actually know.
I mean, judging from Solana came around, I don't know, like in 2019, 20 or 2021, whatever that is. But now the EU is looking to build a digital dollar on top of that. So I would have said like 10 years before, but now I'm seeing it to be much shorter. But I guess it comes down to lobbying and who wants to back it and stuff like that. But it circles back around to reliability and uptime. But then again, that counters what Solana used to be. So it's really difficult to say.
Yeah, it still kind of shocks me that Solana is one of the ones that's really kind of being chosen for that, given just everything that we see every day happening over on that damn chain. Oh man. Hey, good for Solana.
That tells you everything you need to know about how smart people are who have power, is all I gotta say.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's well, makes me shake my head. Man, it's so far behind on the times of what this stuff actually is and how it works and what's actually good, what's actually decentralized, what's a centralized, faux decentralized casino. It's just, oh man. So I guess all this come full circle to, if we're tying this into TORUS and Unity, Unity has and TORUS has perpetual liquidity building via the buy and build contract, meaning guaranteed depth in the market on a decentralized network in a decentralized exchange, meaning no one can pull the liquidity. That's huge. And what's going to happen is, as the supply grows, right, as more Titan X, as more Ethereum, as more PulseX and Pulse come in, these contracts are going to get so significantly large that the depth of these pools is going to be unmatched, legitimately, right? So that's check number one. Check number two is for reliability. Well, I mean, there is no admin keys to shut anything off. The buy and burn, the buy and build, there is nothing in these contracts that allows anything to ever be shut off. There are specific parameters that can be adjusted with a minimum and a maximum. That's it. Meaning, and even that, if these institutions want to run the show, maybe there's going to be a freaking DAO that comes out, because these tokens can be governance tokens, right? They have governance operability. So at some point, and here's the thing, if you're in the system now, you're getting the lion's share of supply, you might be able to cast the votes more so than the institutions, right? So, I mean, that's an interesting thing to think about. And if a DAO were to come, I mean, people could literally vote, they could literally, if a DAO comes, people could be like, you know what? We want to turn everything up. We want to turn the buy and burn up to 100%. We want to stop burning PulseX or Titan X. We want to turn Genesis off, and we want to turn off the buy and build, because the buy and build is just the liquidity is too thick at the moment, or it's thick enough, or whatever, right? You literally turn everything off and just go to the buy and burn, or whatever. So the DAO will allow people, so these institutions that want reliability, they know that they can actually have a say at influencing the outcome of this protocol. And imagine this, you're an institution that is putting, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars into something, and you know that you can actually have sway on the outcome of this protocol, meaning you can actually guide it to benefit your own bag. What other protocol, what other DeFi application allows you to do that? I mean, I'm not saying TORUS and Unity have that right now, but at some point in the future, a DAO is possible. And imagine the incentive there, the reliability for institutions that know that there's market depth guaranteed. There is support for what they're building. They have potential sway over and decision-making capacity over how the system operates over time to help guide it. And not only that, what if something else comes in the future that allows people to be able to leverage and utilize, what they have in the system to get liquid on it and to use other opportunities while they're holding or while they're creating or staking? What if there is another platform that comes that allows people to make more on what they're already earning in the system? Imagine that for a second. Imagine there are more applications that allow people to leverage what they're already doing to diversify and increase beyond what the internal system can even give out, to create more opportunities, to create more, stability and, ability to move in and out and sell and take all these things, right? There's so much potential for a system like this to be built on and to be structured for the people that are getting it now, simultaneously for the institutions. And so I know I keep doing these whole monologues, but it's so important when we talk about these long-term visions of like institutions and what this means to be a blue chip, that I don't know if there's been a protocol that has been designed, like not obviously like a balancer or an Aave. This is different, right? We're not talking about that style of protocol, but a protocol like this, where it's a one token system that has had, these components line up in a way that is set up this well for that vision. I don't know. I don't see anything else like it, really, not to this magnitude. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to add to that, because yeah, definitely getting quite good at monologuing, and but you guys let me know if where's your mind go when when you hear what I just said.
Retweet.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Please, if you're in here, guys and gals, please go ahead, retweet the space, share the space, tag someone you want to come listen to this. These are recorded. People can listen back to them. Let me, I see Y2K is coming up. Let's go. All right. Buddy, do you have anything you want to chime in on before I bring Y2K up and get him on the mic?
No, I'm good to go. Thank you.
Perfect. Mr. Y2K, welcome.
Hi, thank you very much, guys. Just one question, right? I'm a college kid, you know. What you built, I really respect it. I love it. And I just want you to tell me in terms of like, you're speaking to a baby, right? How is the price gonna stay stable over 20 years? Let's say right now it's like what, $17 or $15. How is it gonna have a high price, have a high value, and not dump like Zen, for example? Because how I see this, right? I see this as like a Zen, but like built better to help PulseChain. You know, it's burning PulseX, which is gonna benefit all of us eventually. You know, so how is the price gonna continue to rise and not dump and go to zero?
So just to frame this properly, so I appreciate your question. So what you're asking me right now, and I'm gonna frame why I'm saying it like this. You're asking me to explain how an engine of a race car is going to stay in operation, but to give you a simple example. So then the reason I'm saying this because there are so many moving parts. There are so many internal systems and structures that are simultaneously working to keep this engine going that there is, levels to this understanding. Primarily, there is, it's in the simplest terms I can possibly say it. It comes down to incentive structure. This system is constantly giving rewards daily, right? And because people can only come in the system for 88 days, people got to get kicked out. Because of that, these ROIs on the DApp will go higher over time, meaning it's like a dangling carrot, right? When the prices go higher, the carrot sways over to creation, which means people are going to sell more. When the price goes below the threshold for the system, the carrot sways over to incentivize very highly people buying and staking, because the ROI for staking is much more stable and will stay high. So you have the first time in a system where people have an incentive to buy, which gets you more shares in the system to keep earning and growing your earning potential within the system, which then allows the system to support itself via its buy contracts, which are utilizing 92% of every dollar that is input into the system. So, and just on the comment of Zen as well, for people that are listening to this, when you come to TORUS or Unity with a preconceived notion because it seems similar to one aspect of a protocol you've been familiar with, TORUS and Unity both have a 100% success rate of basically proving wrong assumptions of any protocol that you think it's similar to. It has elements that are similar to Zen. It has elements that are similar to TitanX. It has elements that are similar to BTC. It has elements that are similar to Hex. It has elements that are similar to PulseX. And simultaneously, it's unlike all of them. It is completely different. This system has never been done before. These are the first two of their kind ever to exist. There's never been anything like it. Therefore, I would just warn people that, they see it being like a Zen or a TitanX or a Hex. Just do more research. This system is so different. And definitely ask more questions, because this is where it starts, right? I appreciate you asking this, because how would you know if you haven't taken the time to do it? So I appreciate you asking the question. And what I would say next is ask more questions, man. Ask me some more questions, and I'm happy to show you how this system blows the doors off of everything else that it looks like it's similar to, and is something completely different. Does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. Honestly, I really don't think I have anything more to ask. I mean, I've been enjoying it, and I'm just waiting to reap my gains. So I was just kind of worried of like, yeah, we're pumping and everything, and it's like, what if on day 88 everything goes to zero, you know? So that was my trend of thought.
Can I kind of chip in on that?
Yeah, send it, Dank. Go for it, man.
So, what Y2K? What would make a token go to zero?
Massive extraction, the founder holding more tokens or whatever. I don't know.
Okay, so look, everything you just said can't happen because it's a mutable contract. What makes the token go to zero is everyone's selling out. Why are you in crypto in the first place?
To make money.
Exactly. So with this, you have to be in it to make money. Period. So yeah, you might make a shit ton at first and you might sell out some, but the system's going to tick on whether you're in it or not. And when you're out of money again, you see the system still going. You know, it happens all the time with good protocols. People talk about all the time how they blow their first jackpot and then they're coming back regretting it because they lost their position, but they're still going to accelerate. This is deflationary with liquidity that's just being built up. It can't go to zero. I mean, you're going to get a floor, but it's just going to be a ratcheting floor over time. So that's my take.
So
This ain't chain aids, bro. This ain't chain aids.
Is the buy and build like the deflationary mechanism?
No, that's the buy and. So the buy and burn is dedicated to buying and burning the Unity token. There's also a buy and build contract though that is dedicated to buying Unity and pairing it with PulseX in liquidity to create market depth every single 10 minutes.
Okay.
And one other thing I want to add to, because you said something about, you said the founder could dump and blah blah blah, and you know, you're concerned about that. There's no founder allocation. There's no centralized entity. There's a Genesis address that gets Pulse and PulseX. You know, it gets a small amount, but that entity gets no Unity whatsoever. So if Genesis wanted to do something in the system, it has to participate like everybody else.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming up though. I appreciate the question because I know, honestly, I don't blame anyone for thinking like this because or asking these questions, because there has been so many protocols that this has happened to, and of course you're going to be skeptical when someone's coming out and saying it's the bee's knees and it's the greatest thing since, you know, sliced bread and, you know, whatever else. I want people to be skeptical, but to ask the questions, you know, not to just write it off as I've heard this before. Okay, yeah, I'm going to ignore it. It's to ask the right questions, what you're doing, and I appreciate that. And to find out why. And what I've said, and I'll keep saying is, you know, my words and what I say is for marketing and to get people excited and to get people wanting to look into the system. But the system and how it's designed is there to prove itself. Like, don't listen to my words solely. Go and look for yourself, participate a little bit, toss a little bit in, play with it, see how it works, and then understand how powerful it is, not from what I'm saying, but from what the system is showing you that it actually is. So yeah, thank you, my friend. Dank and Martin, thanks guys for coming up. Let me go. Dank, do you have anything else you wanted to chime in on before I go to Martin?
Nah, send it.
Sweet. Martin, what's going on, my friend?
Hi guys, a very interesting conversation you had. Like, I came for answers and I got so many more questions. But the first question I have, we know that high price of Unity then create ROI is better, and low price staking ROI is better. I am curious about what's gonna happen after, let's say, 180 days, because when I join now and I create, I have a lot of Unity, and of course I could sell it. But when I sell it when I want to sell it, for example, in 2 periods, so after 160 days, 180 days, whatever, and the price will not go down. So the price will still be high. If I sell my accumulated Unity for that time and I will put that money into the creation, I will never get the same amount of Unity that I have right now, that I am getting right now, even if the price will go up. So I will be kind of forced to stake Unity until forever. So this is the scenario I'm curious about.
Right. So it actually doesn't quite work this way. You know, when the prices are high and creation ROI is up, that means that if you sell $1 of Unity, let's say the price of creation leads the creation ROI to be 100% higher, right? So 2 times higher, meaning the ratio is twice as high as that break-even point, right? So in Unity, that's 100,000 PulseX to 1. Let's say the ratio is at 200,000 to 1, right? This means if you sell $1 of Unity at this ratio, it's twice as high, and then you get your PulseX, you get $1 of PulseX, and you put that PulseX back into creation, you're creating $2 worth, meaning you're going to get twice as much Unity as you just held. And this is the nature of the creation side. So it means in the future, if you, it is relative, right? Like you might not be able to physically sell because, like, let's say you have 10,000 Unity or 1,000 Unity now, and they're worth, $17 a pop or $5 a pop, or wherever we go to. Maybe it goes to $50. I don't know. But let's say in the future, Unity is hundreds of dollars, right? It's going to change, but that same effect will always happen where when the price goes up, you'll be able to sell $1 of Unity when the price is twice as high as that median point, put it back into the system and create $2 worth, or whatever the price is at. So that's the design of creation. That's always going to perpetually be like that. And the system might stay into creation or to staking mode for quite a while, or I call it staking mode, but where the staking ROI is higher, it might. But let me ask you, what's the concern with the system being in a mode where staking is the only profitable option?
Because I'm worried that staking, if the price of Unity keeps going up and up and up, there will never be staking. So this is my worry, because let's say I accumulate 100,000 unit, and if I sell it on the market and put it into the creation, because the price of Unity will keep going up and up and up, so creation will give me better ROI. But will after 180 days, will I at least get 100,000 of Unity? Because right now is the best time to enter. The earlier I enter, the more Unity I get per buck. That's my issue. That's my question.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a few things. The first is, if the price of Unity is going I guess it's I'm trying to understand your concern that staking will never be viable because it will always be there's a potential for the creation to be the dominant ROI or the dominant mechanic.
It will be viable, but creation will have, with higher prices of Unity, creation will always give better ROI. So let's say creation ROI will be 200%, and staking ROI will only be 10%. And I don't want to lose whatever I accumulated of my Unity. So that's the issue, because when prices go down after 88 days or 180, then I'm fine with it, because I can sell Unity, I can buy again with my PLSX, I can create more Unity. But what's going on when prices keep going up and up and up? The system will be constantly in creation mode. So putting new money into the create side will generate more Unity than keeping them in the on the stake side. And I don't want to sell my Unity, because if I sell my 100,000 Unity in the next 200 days, I won't be able to accumulate as much Unity by selling and buying again, because right now are the best ratios.
Oh, so I muted myself and started talking, of course. So the thing is, too, is you don't have to only create. Like, if you get to a position where you're like, I'm either too big, I don't want to sell because it's cumbersome, it's too much slippage, it's a pain in the ass, or you just want to hold on to your tokens, you can still stake. But the thing you've got to understand is that the ROI for creation and staking are measured differently. So if you were to take 1,000 Unity and stake it, you will always get the same shares as creating 1,000 Unity, right? So if you were to sell enough where you would create the same number of tokens again when the creation ROI is high, right? You would get the same shares as if you're staking. So you can simply just stake your Unity, even though the creation ROI is high, and pay the fee to get in, and you're still going to be earning. So, and the other thing too is the idea of the creation ROI going up and up and up and up and up. We've got to really rein in what this actually means, right? And how realistic this actually is. When the creation ROI is higher, this means there's more profitability. This means people are, incentivized to sell and compound or just sell, period. And what they do with that afterwards is up to them. And so the notion that the creation ROI is going to go up and up and up and up and up forever is, I think, I don't think that's necessarily a fair way to look at this. It's just unreasonable, because when the creation ROI is high, the system is incentivizing behavior to bring the price back down. When the prices are low, the system is incentivizing behavior to bring prices back up. So the system should not revolve, especially, 200, 300, 400, a couple years in the future. It should be revolving around that median point, which should make creation and staking only slightly advantageous over a short window before it corrects. So, and also, yeah, you may be difficult to create the same amount of tokens up front by compounding, but staking is a viable option into the future. And some people are going to just stake because of how big they're going to get, and they just don't want to be selling and, dealing with all that. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it's now much more understandable. I have one more question about the relationship between Unity and PLSX, because one of you guys said that you didn't sell your PLSX for Unity, so maybe instead of going into Unity, I should stake my PLSX. What is the relationship between those two? Because I don't get it fully.
Isn't it better to create with PLS so that the normal buy and burn on the DEX, PLSX DEX, is also going to burn PLSX, plus Unity is going to burn PLSX?
Well, I'll answer UI2K because it ties into what you're asking, Martin. Everything happens the exact same no matter what. If you come into the system with PLS or PLSX, you had to have purchased PLSX with Pulse, meaning you had to run through the PulseX exchange. So some had to get burned because of the volume and the way that the system takes volume and burns PulseX with it. It doesn't really matter. What you'll save a little bit of slippage by coming into the system with Pulse. But now, to Martin, what you were saying, you cannot stake PulseX or Pulse in the system. You stake Unity and you pay a fee in Pulse or PulseX, but you're not staking PulseX. So what Amir was referring to is he was referring to, not using PulseX and only using Pulse to stake Unity as the deposit fee, or to use PLS as the deposit fee to stake Unity and not using PulseX. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand. But did he mean like because he's holding all his PLSX right now and he doesn't want to get rid of it?
I'd have to ask him, but that sounded like that's what he was implying.
Yeah, so why not put this all PLSX into the Unity? Unity price will go up, then you can buy back more PLSX. If he's holding his PLSX, that means that instead of going into Unity, maybe I should put more money into PLSX and just keep it in the wallet or farm it or whatever.
Yeah, you have to ask him, because I mean, this is person to person. Some people are going to really see that there's no point to holding PulseX when you can just compound over 88 days and grow that number. Now, others are going to potentially see that, well, maybe there's a hybrid, because PulseX is going to be tremendously affected by what Unity brings to the table, the burn, the demand, the buy-in burns, forcing economic energy through PulseX and pushing up its price. So maybe people just want to hold it and see what happens. So this is a very personal thing. There's no way I could possibly say there's a rhyme or a reason that's like specific to, take advantage of the system. It's very personal, and it's kind of a guess because no one really knows which is going to be ultimately the better hold. I mean, right now the ROIs are so high that it's going to be really hard for people to not increase their value in PulseX terms in this first cycle. But really, that's all you can say, right? You can't. That's his opinion. That's what his strategy is. That's what he values. But that's subjective. Very, very, very personal.
Okay, I understand. I thought that there's some relationship, so it's more profitable to keep your PLSX, but yeah, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome, man. Lazar, welcome. Good to have you. I'm going to go to you, and then, guys, we're going to shut this down, and we're going to go over to the TitanX weekly spaces with Plan A. I want to make sure I spend some time with the TitanX community over there. So would love if those of you that want to learn more about TitanX and understand TORUS a little bit more and see why I chose to build TORUS on TitanX, definitely hop over to that space, even just to listen in. Would love to have you guys. But if not, throughout the week, we are going to be doing these spaces regularly. So stay tuned for those. And Lazar, welcome. Good to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Mic check. Can you hear me?
5 by
Loud and clear.
Thank you. Very cool project. I won't go into my background, but I did dabble in TitanX. So really quickly, we're all interested on the price of Unity around day 88. How about throwing out some predictions that aren't financial advice? Thank you.
Oh, man. This is here. The only thing I can say about a price prediction is I can't say anything price prediction wise. Not for one, being in a founder position, it's weird. For two, any price lows that we go to, I don't know how long they're going to last, because as we move towards that day 88 period, people that have been in the system, I mean, they're going to be most people are going to be creating and staking and getting in the system and having shares from earlier in the system, meaning those shares are going to expire, closer to and shortly after the day 88. And the way the system works is that these ROIs are calculated based on looking into the future at what shares are into the future days. And so as people aren't coming into the future earning capacity, or aren't putting creations or stakes out into the future, the system is going to see there's less and less shares, meaning the earning potential, the estimated ROI, is going to be creeping up and up and up and up and up for staking, right? And so when we get to day 88, or whatever this day is, right, where people are really starting, if people are really starting to sell, which, it's likely to some degree, the incentive for people to buy and get into the system could be so high that even if the price drops so dramatically, the opportunity for people to buy and get shares in the system that they might never be able to get otherwise, capitalizing on these dips, might only last a few moments or a few minutes or a few hours. So the other thing you have to consider here too is how much profitability there is. Because if people are valuing the system and they don't want to sell, the price could drop, only a little bit comparatively to what it could. But if people are up 35, 40x, right, then their break-even points could be in the single pennies, or 10 cents or 20 cents or 30 cents, right? That's where their break-even point could be. So on the extreme level, before people are actually not in profit, you could see technically, in a worst case scenario, a most extreme scenario, prices going around that low. The question is, how long do they last? But I don't see that being the case. There's too much happening. The buy and burn is too powerful, even at its minimum settings. The buy and burn is too powerful, even at its minimum settings. And the incentive structure is too powerful as well, in my opinion, for that to ever be something of a concern to me. What are your thoughts, though, from what you've learned so far and what I just said?
Personally, I would love to see double digits, like a $10 valuation after that time, because of, the shorter stakes that are coming out. And based on what TitanX did, there's definitely going to be, like what I think one of the other speakers said, a nice flooring. because depending on where the interest level is, you're going to want to get some of those cheap Unity. So I'm thinking $10, not financial advice.
I like it. $10 is a good number. Would love to see that. Well, sweet, guys. Lazar, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to ask, but if not, I'm going to wind this space down and I'm going to head over to the TitanX ecosystem space that's happening at the moment here. So I'll open the floor up if anyone has anything final they want to add, but if not, this will be it. And before we go, make sure you've shared the space out. Make sure you're following my cryptographics account. Make sure you're following Torus Win here on X, as well as Unity.win spelled all out. And make sure you're in the Telegrams as well, t.me/UnityWin and t.me/TorusWin. So I'll open up the floor for a minute. If no one has anything, then we'll wind this down. Sweet. Easy. All right, guys and gals, thanks so much for being here. We're going to do this again tomorrow. Probably going to start doing both Torus and Unity spaces together in the morning, just because I like having this crossover here and being able to answer questions about both in one, so I can be more efficient with my time, and then I can possibly do other stuff throughout the day. So these will probably be at about 8 a.m. Pacific time daily during the week, and the weekends I'm still figuring out the timing for that. Might be similar to this time, 8 a.m. on Sundays. Saturdays I'm still figuring out, but these are going to be regular. So thanks everyone for being here. Thank you all for your questions and your time and spending your Sunday morning or afternoon or evening with me and everyone else in here. So thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you all soon. Peace.